Welcome back. President Biden's massive spending and higher tax agenda. The administration has proposed a $6 trillion budget for fiscal year 2022, potentially taking the United States to its highest level of spending since World War II. The administration is planning to pay for their progressive spending proposals through significant tax increases. Joining me right now is American Action Forum president, former CBO director, and former McCain campaign advisor, Douglas Holtz-Eakin. Doug, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. I want to get to the budget with you. But first, give us your assessment of the broad economy today. Pretty good op-ed this morning in the Journal about the economy coming back and growth on the horizon this year as well as next year. Why do we need all this spending if the economy is doing just fine on its own?
We really don't. This has been a mystery to me why there's all this talk about stimulus. We're having a tremendous recovery, and the reason we're having a tremendous recovery is this has been a recession unlike any other we experienced. It wasn't the 20th century where incomes fell. It wasn't a 21st century where we saw big wealth destruction like the dot-com bubble or the financial crisis. What we saw was the coronavirus stopped people from spending. They couldn't go to restaurants, they couldn't get onto airplanes, couldn't stay in a hotel. And now that that's receding, the economy's coming back just fine. And the private sector has expanded payrolls throughout 2020 and will continue to do that. And what we're seeing more than anything else is supply-side shortages. We've heard a lot about the supply chain, a lot about the lack of workers, and that's the only thing holding the economy back. This isn't a world where we need lots of big government spending to make the economy grow. It's doing just fine.
So what's your take on the budget? Let's talk about the president's $6 trillion budget. There was an op-ed in the Journal yesterday saying Biden's slow growth budget gamble, where they're laying out a scenario of a sugar high. You've got lots of money being thrown at the economy, and you're getting growth for 2 years, but then it is slowing down to 1% to 2% growth for the following 8 years. Your assessment of President Biden's $6 trillion budget?
This is really a stunning document that I don't think has gotten the attention it deserves. It's not that it's proposing $6 trillion for the next fiscal year. It's proposing the highest level of federal spending as a fraction of our economy, as a fraction of GDP, for any 10-year period in our history, including World War II. So this is a big spend, big government budget. It's got lots of taxes in there, $3.6 trillion. That gives us the highest level of taxation as a fraction of GDP over any modern 10-year period. And despite that, it doesn't add up. They're going to borrow an additional $1.5 trillion in federal debt over the next 10 years. So you've got big government, you've got big taxes, you've got big borrowing, but you have no growth. And so this is a vision where prosperity is in the government. It's not a vision consistent with our history and our principles where economic freedom and private enterprise drives the standard of living. It's a vision of making the government bigger and having people rely on it. And I think it's worth really pointing that out because it's not just the numbers, it's the philosophy that you're seeing in that budget.
So let's talk about that because the priorities are very much about the president's green economy vision. And that will mean lots of extra costs for a number of industries. Walk us through what you see as most striking.
Well, I think the really striking thing is, the president has said climate is the #1 priority. Fine. So presidents have their priorities. How do you go about reaching those objectives? If you want to do something in America, make it a priority for American business, and it will happen. There's no question. Harness the marketplace, provide incentives to produce renewables, carbon sequestration, all the elements that people talk so much about, but they're not doing that. They're saying, okay, we'll do the command and control regulatory approach. Everyone knows this is more expensive, and it won't work. We will not get to a zero carbon electricity grid by 2035. There's no way that's feasible. So they've set an objective that's too ambitious. It can't be done. They're using the wrong tools, and that's a recipe for additional damage to the economy at a time when we're trying to recover.
Yeah, Dagan McDowell, jump in here.
Douglas, looking back at the past year and
Dagan.
how this, hey, good to see you, how this nation fought COVID. It was private industry backed up by government that came up with vaccines. And now we're finding out that the likes of Tony Fauci was peddling misinformation to the American people for more than the last 14 months, the last year and a half. How does that, why can't the Republicans sell that you don't want these people in Washington, these career bureaucrats who are spotlight-seeking hacks, making decisions about everything to do with your life, whether it's the quality of what kind of health insurance you get or what kind of car you have to drive? Because the green agenda is to essentially prevent people from driving gasoline-powered cars in the long run.
So my concern with the green agenda is the same as it's been for, quite frankly, decades, which is the green part of the left wing is not really interested in the environment. They're interested in telling you how to live your entire life. It's a very, very controlling, top-down view of how America should work, and it's not the way America has been successful. Yeah. So I think it's the biggest concern is not that it's a climate objective, it's what's underneath and the philosophy that the government should run everything. Over the past year, I think we learned something very simple. The American people knew when to avoid the virus. They quarantined themselves to keep safe and not infect themselves and transmit the virus. But when the government stepped in and actually forced lockdowns, it came at an enormous economic price.